You gotta make sure it fucking
We're
works.
making
This.
sure. All right, we're fresh off of a new recording off of a corrupted file. Greetings and welcome to the podcast. I'm here with Colin for Video Game Book Club. The rules are simple. One person picks a game. You got to beat that game in a month, and you pick that next game for everyone to play. Once your month comes around, if you beat it, we literally just did this. So, Colin, go over your game.
Baroque. It's a game. What do we
We're
sound? Speed run, dude.
we're speed running this. Sound design. The chainsaws and ambiance, and there's no soundtrack for this game. It's really, this is weird, dude.
It's
Um,
got heartbeat.
yeah, it's got heartbeat. Like it's in a very atmospheric game. That it's not like you're gonna be like, oh, this is a jam, you know. This is a okay. This all of this blends together. It's not systemic, but
It's got the wolf banger.
yeah, it's weird. Um, yeah, there's wolf howls and shit. Sound design is good. It's solid.
Creepy. It does its job.
Um, so now we're on to graphics again. See, we're already fine. We're good.
All right, back. Graphics. It's got some of the best enemy designs.
It's muddy, but it's not the game's fault. It's muddy because
It's a shit version.
it's a shit version.
The Saturn version is the better version.
Yeah, this is a Sega Saturn game that was ported to the PS1 that we played on an emulator. So it didn't look great. Um, it's if you've played Doom, you'll be okay with this game. Like 94 Doom on floppy, you'll be all right with it. It just looks like an old game. It looks like Elder Scrolls 1. That's what you expect of it.
But
However,
cooler.
yeah, the enemy design is tremendous, and unique. Um,
There's ball sacks. They
there's
hop around.
yeah,
You
and
can get
they
shit on.
yeah, and you get sucked off, dude, with the enemies that run at you and suck on you. They're kind of like pinkies, from Doom, but they got like giant vagina mouths. It's messed up.
They got
Um,
exploding babies.
yeah, this game would be better named Grotesque than Baroque. Um,
I think that's part, like, I think it's supposed to be ironic now that you say
oh,
that.
no, I looked into that. There is there's an interview where Yoshimitsu,
Yeah, that's not his name. Okay.
Yoni Misu, something like that. The creator of the game, he said that imprisonment is a word that he likes, and that imprisonment is usually related with towers, and Baroque gives you imagery of towers, so that's why.
He-
So even the reason for the name is fucking convoluted.
This guy's like Brad.
Yeah, dude. Um, yeah, graphics are all right. Some
I
stuff
think
looks
they're good.
better.
I think they're good. I'm a fan of how everything looks.
Yeah, it's just inconsistent in my opinion, and the draw distance sucks. For good reason. It's like the Silent Hill thing. Um, where Silent
Yeah,
Hill had the
even
fog.
even more so, I think it's supposed to be like fog of war, so you can't see what's right in front of you, you know?
Yeah. Oh, and then you get darkness, dude. I forgot all about darkness. I
Oh,
don't
then
know
you really
how.
can't. Really, yeah, you get shit on. You really
Yeah.
can't see what's in front of you.
Yeah, there's these large green humanoid floating creatures with gas masks that hook into their torso, and if you hit them enough times close enough, they'll turn around and fart on you, and the fart cloud gives you darkness. Enemies are interesting in this game. They're by far and away the most interesting part of this game. That's a cohesive because the story is interesting too. It's just not cohesive.
Well, yeah, every time you see a new enemy, it's what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
And then it does some weird shit, and then you die.
Um, So yeah, graphics they take some getting used to, but if you play it for like 3 or 4 hours and you haven't given up on it yet, the graphics won't bother you anymore. There'll be plenty of other things that you'll be able to comment on. Um, it's a very like dark game, both in concept and in viewpoint. Like
Yeah, everything's like a dark red, gray.
brown, lots of fucking
Yeah,
brown in this game. Um,
very little color.
yeah, which makes sense now that the orbs are like this luminescent pearl,
Right.
and the angel gun is like this creamy white color. Speaking of angel gun, why don't you give us the skinny on this story again, Colin? Let's round
Well,
two.
it takes place in the 2020s, so right now. And a big tower, there was some experiment, a big tower shoots out of the earth. And then the great heat wave blows everything up. And then God is in the center of the earth, and you gotta climb down the tower to God.
uh,
And that's just the tip of it.
yeah. And when we first started this, he said the plot is you go get a gun and shoot God, but that is no longer correct.
That is true, though.
It's true, sorta, kinda. It's an option.
It's not how you beat the game, but
Yeah.
that is the plot of a game that's in this game.
Yeah, it's a game within a game.
Is that it's a simulation on top of that.
Also, second story being told in tandem, you are half of a conjoined twins. You are one of the conjoined twins that were conjoined at the heart. So think that through. And only one of you can live, and you're the one that died. And you are sat there. Oh, in an experiment, by the way, because you were powerful. And so you walk around and you're haunted by your brother's memory, and you wish it was him instead of you that was able to live, and you just got survivor's guilt out the ass, and he'll
He's
pop up.
he's really pissed about chess.
Yeah, he's like, remember when we played chess? And there's jump scares in this game, by the way, not good ones. But like it'll get really fucking loud. Actually, that should have gone into sound design. The jump scares are loud.
That first one with the fetus angels is
Yeah.
loud, yeah.
Um. So the story of the protagonist is that you're obsessed with your dead brother, um, and you're angry and you're mad, and you go to fucking purify God, but then you're like, nah, that's not the right thing to do. Um, so then you go talk to some people, and 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 you fuse with God, but then you go mad, because you guys kiss, and then you breach into insanity, so you die, and then you try again when you do the exact things that you're supposed to do, and then you're like, okay, God, we're fused, and just leave the world how it is, because like the fake ending is you starting a new world that's chill, and the real ending is you being okay with the world how it is now and leaving it. Um,
It's a fuck it story.
yeah. Which it's it's not so convoluted that it doesn't make sense as like a general idea, but if you want any nitty gritty details and to like fully understand this game front to bottom, um, you need to write everything down because again, it's vague and it's translated by a fan. So like it's supposed to be ambiguous, and then on top of that, it's not in English. It's translated into English. So, and I think that's where we were, weren't we? Like that's all we missed.
Yeah, I
That
mean,
took
we definitely went in more detail, but
yeah,
we got there. We can just, gameplay it.
yeah. So gameplay is tedious. We
I,
haven't even talked about the website.
oh yeah, you need a website to play this game.
If you are able to beat this game without looking up anything on the internet, please let me know. And I don't want this, oh, I beat this back then. No, I want you to start it now and then complete it front to back, no help from anything, and beat it because I don't think it can be done.
I don't think so either.
Um, the tasks you have to do akin to like adventure game like shit, like put a tape on a piece of tape on a dog to make a mustache to disguise yourself to go into a nuclear power plant to get steam from the top of it and give somebody the water bottle. It's like
No, no,
that.
it's worse. It's be given a gun to shoot God, but don't shoot God, but make sure you talk to the lady so the neck thing sticks his neck, but maybe you give him fruit, but you don't have fruit, so you hit him in the head, and you give him the soul to the other guy, and he turns into a rotting corpse.
Yeah. So that's the story we're working with here. I'll tell this story again. I was talking to Colin and I gave him the heads up. Only half of it apparently though, because you also have to walk through a wall, but that's not that bad. Which is wild that I'm saying that that's not that bad now. But at the start of every run, you're given this gun, and the archangel says, "Hey, shoot God with this gun." And then you get to the end of the run, which isn't easy at the time because you're still a greenhorn or however you want to say it. You're still a noob. You're still a scrub, and you're stoked that you got to the end of the level. So you shoot God with the gun, but it gives you the bad ending that doesn't let you progress. What you have to do on this run is that you have to rub up against God without shooting him with the gun, and that gives you a unique cutscene where your brother jumps off of a window and then falls into your arms
And
and
explodes
explodes
into
like
glass.
glass.
There's some text to it too. It doesn't make any sense, but
Oh, I didn't even go over that. So like, and then like you're fusing with God, right? At the very end of the real ending. And again, spoiler alert for this challenge that I'm giving you guys, but it's not about the story. I mean, trust me, I've left enough out of the story that you'll need to find more. Um there's a whole bunch of text going on the screen, but it overlaps, you know?
yeah, there's no way to read it.
Yeah, so it's like, what the fuck is happening? And like, and there's weird shit like "Don't go mad" written like fucking Bart Simpson on the chalkboard of the beginning of the theme.
Dude, what about that one cutscene where you talk to the one dude with like the little birds on his shoulders, and it's like swaying back and forth in like a blurry screen, and like
Yeah,
there's
no, me and Josh were watching that, and he's like, "This is the worst cutscene I've ever seen in a video game." And I'm like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "I'm not even embellishing. Like, I'm being 100% honest. This is horrible."
it was something.
And it was so long. I'm like, "This is the longest fucking cutscene in the game."
I know it kept going and going.
Um, so gameplay has interesting concepts. You won't be bored with what you pick up. You will keep picking up different shit.
I love the items. Like for every good item, there's like an accompanying bad item. Like they all have like a parallel shit item. So there's like I don't know, there's just so much stuff.
And there's like landmines on the ground, and some of them heal you and some of them hurt you and some of them push you back. Um some like give you toxin and shit, but they can be reversed, so they can be flipped upside down. The problem for me is that the sprite was pretty ambiguous. So I didn't know when it was flipped up or down, and they don't tell you what they do until you step over them. So I just stopped stepping over them. There's also boxes. There's a whole bunch of boxes.
That's the other cool thing too. Everything's like unidentified, so you kind of have to roll the dice if you want to use the item or not, because it could be sick or it could be garbage.
Yeah.
You don't really know what it does yet.
Like there's items that half your health. There's items that are just like oh, okay, so this is an example. You get bones, right? And then you have to nibble on the bone to figure out what it actually is. Because there's some shit with that too, but I forgot. So, like, you nibble on the bone, and, like, one of the best things you can get early in the game is arrows. Because they're free high damage weaponry. Because you start out with this sword called Pathetic. And it's pathetic. So you get these arrows, but you nibble on them, and it counts it as you using the item. So you take, like, 10 damage from biting the first arrow. So you're supposed to get 4 and you only get 3. And that's how a lot of the shit works in the game, is that you have to like test it on yourself before you get it to enemies. Until you get IDs and other shit. Um, if you play the game enough, you'll be able to figure out what stuff is without having to do stuff like that. Um, like say you're dropping bones on the ground. Um, if it's 4 bones, it's a secretion because secretions always come in fours, or it's an arrow. So you pick them back up and nibble on it, and then you got free arrows or you got free secretion. Um, there'll be unidentified swords, and you don't want to equip every sword because it's like some of them have really negative effects.
Or ever get anything with adhesive? So when you equip it and you can't unequip it.
Yes, a pelt that
Yep.
had 2 armor.
I had
Um,
one that had one, dude, and it was stuck on me the whole time.
yeah, there's like there's brands that like are like bonuses that you can put on your shit. You can equip it to like your. You can essentially have 3 brands actually, because you can put one on your armor, one on yourself, and one on your sword. Um, at one point, I was doing electric and fire damage, which was sick. Um, so like essentially, you'll start with shitty stuff, and then through those brands, you'll make them better. And through like static level ups, there's actually, now that I think about it, an obscene amount of items in this game.
For what it is, yeah. There's
Yeah,
like more like you can beat the game and you'll have not seen every item easily. I know I didn't see every item or use every item.
yeah. And this goes back to story, but all of the NPCs and all of the enemies have backstory, and I need to put an asterisk there because it has backstory according to a mega fan's interpretation, and some
Yeah.
interviews that were done 20 years ago.
So they
Um,
could be wrong, but
y-
they're educated at least.
yeah, like there's a guy that's called Box Thing, and Box Thing is obsessed with boxes from a compulsion that led from his daughter dying. So he just wants boxes. And my favorite and least favorite NPC that's usable for your items is called the Sentry Angel, and he's like this little mechanical guy that rolls around on his little platform thing. And you throw him items, and he gives you new ones. So essentially, what you do is dump your entire inventory into this guy, and he gives you new shit, and you just keep doing it until you have the inventory that you want.
Yeah.
Um, it's a really interesting it's a really interesting game in that sense that like everything is fleshed out like that. But we're back on gameplay, and
I think it's a good dungeon crawler if you like that type of game.
I like dungeon crawlers, and I like that it's a first person action dungeon crawler because a lot of these dungeon crawlers are turn based, and I don't like those.
Oh, where you
Um,
have to like hit up and then you attack and then they like you keep hitting up and it keeps attacking.
yeah,
I know, yeah.
or like it's like textile, not textile. It's like tile based where you like move forward and then you hit an enemy and it goes into like a Pokemon battle.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but this is something that is first person to sometimes the detriment of the game, but for most part, really solid.
I I sometimes I hate the first person, but I think it does add like because it's like, oh fuck, something might be behind me, and it like if it wasn't first person, you wouldn't get that aspect to it, but it can be annoying.
Yeah. Oh, this is actually pretty important. This game was made before dual stick movement. This was still when there was a D-pad. So it's
Moving's not great.
it's not great.
You get
It
used to it, and you can move pretty fluidly eventually, but it's not like it could be better,
You
obviously.
won't get whipping. Like
No.
it's not a movement game. Um, despite what anybody could tell you about the dodging and shit, like you just bump fuck people and hit them with your sword as fast as you can. The dodging is negligible until you hit the fucking thunder enemies. Then you have to whip around really fast and strafe sideways. That's another thing that I fucking hated about this game. The fastest way to move is strafing, but you can't look forward when you strafe, so you
No,
have to like go diagonal.
no, you can look forward,
You can
dude.
look forward when you strafe. I was never able to.
You strafe left and then right and then left and right.
No,
Go
no,
back.
no, 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 no,
What do you
no,
mean,
no,
dude?
no, no.
Dude, I'm telling you, the game had sick movement.
You just said it didn't.
Well, now that I remembered, you had to do the double strafe forward tech,
I
basically
held
wave dashing.
I held the one that's yeah, it's just like melee.
It is
Um
just like melee in a way.
I held strafe in one direction and looked diagonal. Especially down long hallways. The game is kind enough. Like I was thinking about that every time I pulled it up. It is a godsend that this game was willing to give you a map. It is a horrible map that's pretty fucking shitty.
It's not that bad. Why is it horrible?
It's minimalistic. That's a better word for it. It's a very
I've okay,
minimalistic map.
but I've played many games with much worse maps
That's
in
what I'm
like
trying to
variety of
say.
ways.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say is that the map is there and it's decent.
It works. If you want to go somewhere, I think it's fine. I don't think it's like the best map, but it's just so much better than like it could be so much worse and I would still be okay with it.
I'm
But
just
it's
so
actually
glad they
not
gave
bad.
you a map. Like,
Well, this game's already ridiculous to try to beat. I don't
yeah.
like without
Imagine if you
it.
did it without a guide and without a map.
I mean, you could. No, you couldn't. There's no way.
No. Um so gameplay fun progresses with how much you play it. Cuz when you start playing it, you're like, okay, this kind of is not that great. All right, I shouldn't say that. When I started playing it, I was like, okay, this gameplay is not that great. And then as you learn stuff, like being able to put stuff into the sentry and giving the box man the boxes, because box thing is the first person that I realized like NPCs give you shit pertaining to what they want, you know. Uh, and the game doesn't tell you that at all.
Yeah, it's not like a
Um,
menu pops up and it's like, oh, yeah, here's what he sells, you know? It's much more confusing. It's like throw shit at people.
yeah, there's only there's three people that tell you what they do. Box thing, because his name is fucking Box Thing. Thing, because he'll straight up say, hey, I hold your items. And Neck Thing, because he'll straight up say, I want a heart seed. Um, Everyone else is ambiguous.
Yeah, the Sentry Angel doesn't even talk.
Yeah,
Without the guide, I would never have known to just chuck my items at the thing, you
yeah.
know? Like, how are you supposed to know that?
But he has dialogue. He has dialogue. He goes blah, 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 when you throw him food, and then he
Yeah.
burns it. Um, Also, there's boxes that you can open. Now we're fucking retracing. There's boxes that you can open, but it'll tell you right there. Sometimes they explode, so you have to take
I never had
risks.
one explode.
I had pretty much every one explode on me. Um,
That's crazy. I just
yeah.
open them because I'm like, these don't explode. Fuck
It
it.
it got to the point where I used boxes as weapons because I would throw them at enemies and they would explode. Um, so like each individual NPC in the dungeons, aside from I think like four of them, because there's a lot, honestly. Um, you give them a specific thing, like, and I mean specific, and they'll give you other shit. Um, like the Century Angel, if you give him a gold bone, he'll give you a toy box, and a toy box is the sickest item in the game because it gives you a whole bunch of items. Because you keep clicking it and it gives you a new random item every time. And it doesn't explode when it's done. It breaks. So it doesn't even hurt you. It's the best item in the fucking game. Um, but like everything else is pretty ambiguous. Like there's a chick with green, with like a green leaf dress on, and she just talks about the littles all the time. So she wants the little soul, and then there's the, there's just a whole bunch of shit like
Which
that.
makes sense and like you could figure out on your own, but I don't think you ever would, you know. It makes sense 'cause it's like, oh, yeah, you give the little soul to that person, but it's like there's so many things that have to happen before you even get to that like understanding.
Yeah, you know what doesn't make sense? The lady that walks through a wall, which I think the biggest reason that wall is so hard to figure out for me, is because she turns into like this ethereal being when she walks through the wall.
Yeah, it's
So
like
you
a
think
it,
she's a
yeah.
ghost. But what doesn't make sense is she wants water, and then you go to the laboratory to get pure water, and how you get pure water is by killing things, and they drop it.
Well,
So
kill yourself because
yeah, or
the
some
pure
shit like
water's
that.
called me, which you
So
get by you have to get neck things crystal.
yeah, and my God, you get neck things crystal by fucking not shooting the guy and then killing neck thing who is previously indestructible, but you can kill neck thing, and then
Or
you
not kill him. You can let him grow into a tree.
yeah. And then you get his like neck ball orb. You give it to the laboratory guard, and then he still doesn't move. You have to fucking die.
And then
Um,
you respawn and he's just rotting. He's like, I'm dying.
yeah. So gameplay, I ended up at one point like 75% the way through, like really detesting what I was doing.
And then cheating.
And then cheating. Okay, that's also worth stating. I use save states. Okay? I use save states because I believe the only reason that the game did not save how it did is because of limitations
No, it's a
and what
death
is
run, dude. It's a rogue light, dude. You're supposed to die.
I get that and I understand and I don't feel bad about it, but I understand the gray area of wrong here. I didn't save scum. I didn't say, "Oh, I died," and go back to something that I did 30 seconds ago. I saved at the start of some levels that when I looked in the guide were important. So I'd go from 1 to 13 deathless, save at 13 and walk around, and just in case I fucking died trying to get to the thing that I was supposed to get to while I was reading the guide, I would fucking be able to go back to 13. Which did happen a couple times. So it is things that are useful. What made me do this was Run 2, where I had to go back and do everything all over again because I did exactly what the game told me to do. So that was the final
Ignored the
straw.
guide. Should
Um,
never ignore the guide. The
yeah,
guide, it's like the Ten Commandments, dude. Can't
yeah.
just stray from the path.
I followed exactly to a T what the game told me to do. I brought the gun to God and I shot her with it. God is a girl in this game. I don't know how you guys feel about
Eh,
that.
more of an it.
It has no, no.
No, I
It is
don't.
a woman.
I disagree.
You know what? I don't even know why I'm arguing this. It's a bunch of pixels. It is a bunch of pixels that has boobs. Um, so yeah,
Allegedly.
allegedly, yeah. Um, so gameplay, it's like it is what you make of it. You can have really sick runs where you get exactly what you want and you're leveled up, and then you find something interesting and cool, and then you're as powerful as you can fucking be with like 500 health. Or you can have absolutely miserable runs where you're stuck at like 150 health and haven't gotten shit, and you're branded with shit that you don't want to be branded with, and you have adhesive on a fucking on a pathetic vest. Like it's a roguelike. It's some are gonna be good and some are gonna be bad. But as you play more, the good runs will be more prevalent. Not because the game wants them to, but because you have prevailed. Um, so yeah, that's how I feel about gameplay. Colin apparently did not use save states, and I commend you for
Well,
it.
no, and I didn't. I'm glad you've learned to forgive yourself for cheating.
I mean, that's yeah, no, that's fine. Cause I thought about it. I sat there and I you know I'm like, okay, well, we're already in a gray area. Like, so what's the next thing, you know? So I
Just
went a little
pushing
bit
the ante,
further.
dude. You hit the nuke.
I didn't hit the nuke. Hitting the nuke would have been like fucking getting a save file.
Yeah, which I
Uh,
don't even think you would be able to find for this game, to be
Probably
honest.
not.
Couldn't even find how long the game was.
Yeah, Sherlock Holmes over here, dude. All right, so this is the second most relieved I've ever been to see cutscenes ever. I mean, to see credits. I did not think I would get them, genuinely. Um, it's different because with Blue Dragon, which I took 3 extra days on, I sat there and brutalized myself because I didn't want to go and spend the 6 hours to grind. Instead of grinding for 6 hours, um, I spent three
Wasted
days.
days. Yeah.
But I knew the end was right there. I didn't know that I was for sure getting credits when I got credits. Did you?
In this game?
Yeah.
Well, I think I did because I read the guide.
Yeah, I read the guide too, dude. I still didn't trust it.
I trusted the guide. I learned once I followed the guide to a T, it wouldn't steer me wrong. I was just bad at reading.
Yeah. Um but no, I was like I forgot one thing, didn't I? Because even the end scene of the true ending starts exactly how a fake ending starts. Um
Yeah.
so I'm like I must have did something wrong, dude. But then the credits hit and I was so stoked. So there is like catharsis and feeling of accomplishment to be had here. Um, and again, if you do it without the guide, um, please let me know because that is a monumental task.
That's an impossible task.
Um, Gameplay also felt much of the same for everything up until the third run of the dungeon. Um, which is dependent on how proficient you are at playing the game, honestly. But you always start out with like the same few enemies. I saw the land sharks and the green things and 17s, which are the ones with the frogs on their shoulder.
Ball
Um,
sacks.
yeah, and the ones that run at you, I've seen all of them 1,000 times. I have some. There's some enemies that I only saw once through my entire playthrough, but they're there, fully animated with unique like sounds and all of that. Like they are completely unique enemies. Um, there's cards. There's cards that run up at you and stab you in this game. Like there's interesting shit.
The cannon enemy. It's just a fucking cannon.
Yeah. Um, Anything else for gameplay?
Mm, I think it's good. It's also, yeah, the game's really short too. So it's like you can beat it in one sitting
With the guide.
with a guide. Well, you might as well just play with a guide. I don't think this game's worth playing without a guide.
Yeah. The guide also adds a tremendous amount to the game because it
Okay,
takes what?
I take it back for a sec. If you don't want to beat the game, then don't play it without a guide. Like if you just want to play the game, then yeah, don't use a
Yeah.
guide. But if you actually want to finish the game, then you need to use a guide. 100% think that for sure.
Um yeah, the fucking guide. The guide is more than just a guide. It gives you the backstory on enemies. It gives you the backstory on NPCs. It gives you more insight into things that are more ambiguous in the game. It lays the plot out for you, even though reading the plot is also difficult. Um, and at the top, they're like, it's not as convoluted as you think, you know? but it is. And it goes over some really like ethereal like big things, like the concept of a tortured god and coping with travesties and and like these are really big, wide, heavy themes. Hiding behind a game where you bump fuck land sharks until they drop a yellow, or I mean, drop a white orb, and
Or a
you
bone.
yeah, or a bone, and you eat idiots. Um, so it's like the website and the game are a different experience than just the game. It's like an ARG. Uh, so that's all I got to say about gameplay. That's it.
Yeah, I think we got all of that.
All right, opinions on the game.
I think it's good, but also interesting. I don't know. I can't say it's a bad game. There's too many things that I think are interesting or good to say it's bad. I think there's bad, dated things about it, but I think they can be like not dismissed, but there's just enough interesting shit going on where I can't just say this game's bad.
I think it's interesting and bad. I think it is more interesting than bad, but it's only that way with the website. On its
Yeah.
own, judging itself like solely as a game, it's interesting, but it's bad.
I don't know, it's like if you picked this up in 1998,
I'd
it's
put
like
it down.
it'd be
Granted, I was
interesting.
4 in
Right,
1998,
right.
but
All right, in 2005, it'd be
yeah,
like, still probably put it down because it's too confusing without a guide, but it looks cool. I don't know. I can't, I just don't think it's bad. I think it has bad aspects, but a lot of games from this era just like were weird and like you need a guide to some extent.
I can firmly say that this is a game that I would not have played for more than 10 minutes had it not been for book club. And that's the whole point.
Yeah. This is also a game I think you need to play for more than 10 minutes too. Maybe not. I don't know. I
It's
think it's worth taking a day to beat it because that's all it really takes. If you just sit down for a day and beat it, I think it's unique enough to invest the time at least. Like I don't regret playing. I don't feel like it was like a waste of time.
yeah, I mean we played games that were wastes of time.
Oh, dude, Werewolf. Like that
Werewolf
was
was a
like
waste of time, Battalion Wars was a waste of time. Fucking Recore was a waste of time.
because they're like games that's like it was a game and I beat it, but it's like it did nothing, you know?
Yeah.
It's like I don't think of like anything interesting about those games. Well, even like Recore had some interesting shit. It's like I
Yeah.
liked some stuff, but there's some game like Diofield Chronicles, nothing.
Waste of time.
I
Even
can't even
Steel
think of it.
Rising. And we're saying a lot of the games that I picked, and there's an ongoing joke about that, but we'll get there, dude. Eventually we'll do retrospectives and shit. But like,
Not all the games you picked though. Like I
no.
said, even Recore, which I think is a shit game, I think has aspects that I think back like, oh, that was kind of like an idea that
Oh,
was
dude,
cool.
but there's a website to go over the lore of Recore, and if we just use that,
Yeah.
um, even Steel Rising, like canonically, was a waste of time,
Yeah.
which is wild to me. Um, yeah, the opinion that I've held and can't get really rid of is that I cannot separate the game and the website as two different entities. Kind of like the conjoined twins. Um,
It's all coming back. It's a
yeah,
cycle, dude.
that's a drawn parallel that I made up in my head at some point is that these are conjoined twins and they go with each other. If you intend on beating this game and understanding it. And I still don't fully understand it. And I don't. It's not like, oh, it's big brain. and it goes over such like crazy concepts. It's like, no, I understand the concepts. I don't think that the game itself puts them forward in a cohesive manner, um, at all. Like at all. But it starts off strong. Like it starts off pretty strong.
And for me, it's really just the art. Just because like I haven't seen anything like it before. That's kind of really what kept pushing. I was like, that's like 90% of the reason why I picked it. It's just because I saw shit and I'm like, that looks crazy.
It is an artsy game. What is that fucking game, dude? The horror game. It's the horror game that came out that is it's like a puzzle game. Dude,
Those are like such vague.
this is eating up because I played it and I soft locked, dude. Maybe it starts with an S. I don't
You're talking
know.
about that like Seiya, whatever.
Is it Signalis?
No, that's like new.
That's like new. I don't know. There's a body horror game, and I'm gonna go fucking insane. And I'm gonna have Colin pin it in the message because this is eating up time now. But it's like this body horror game that was a puzzle game that came out a couple days, like a year or so ago. Like it's very interesting, and it doesn't give you all the answers, but it's also in 1998 graphics with Scorn. It's like fucking
Oh,
Scorn.
Scorn.
It's like Scorn. Thank you everybody for making it this far. The game was fucking Scorn. This game is like
This
Scorn.
game's better than Scorn. I didn't play Scorn, but I
No.
didn't. It
Well,
didn't
I
seem
didn't
like
beat Scorn.
Scorn seemed kind of like boring. I don't know.
It's
More, more surface level interesting. Which I guess this game's more interesting the more I look into it.
it's an artsy game that goes over artsy concepts in a pretty artsy way for 1998. That it just isn't it for me by itself. With the website, it just barely gets there.
I feel like it's fair to conjoin them though. I don't think like just because of the way the website. This isn't just like a wiki, you know.
Yeah.
This is like a whole curated website to this one specific game.
Yeah, and not only just like playthrough and walkthroughs and like lore to the NPCs, like it goes over like the Baroque disease. It goes over the architecture. Like,
Yeah, there's a whole section just for analysis of like specific things about Baroque, like influence. There's so much to it.
yeah. I think this got cut. Maybe it was in this one too, but like just the name Baroque was because the creator liked the word imprisonment, and imprisonment is somehow related to towers in his mind, which I sort of get. And Baroque, the time period or music or whatever, gave him imageries of towers.
Which
So
is
like,
convoluted as hell for a
but
name, but
you know, but it makes sense in the way that he thinks like that because you see it in this game all the time. Um, yeah.
which I feel like this dude made this game and it only makes sense in his head. And it's just people trying to figure like, come on, you know that's true. It's like it all makes sense in his head and we're just trying to figure it out.
Overall score,
I, I said I couldn't score it and I don't think I can. Because I could easily say it's a 3, but I can say it's like a 7. It's worth playing. If I had a gun to my head, I guess I would say like a 7 or a 6. But
I will gladly give it a 3.
yeah, but do you think it's worth playing? Like if someone just had
No.
like 8 hours to kill, you don't think they should play this? They think you
No, there
should.
are so many other games to play.
in
If they
in
had
one sitting.
if they had 8 hours, I'd tell them to play A Night in the Woods. Like,
Sure. I agree with that, but more than one game can exist. You don't think this is worth playing?
no.
You don't think it's interesting enough?
I have two different scores. That's the problem.
What's the other score?
5
What's the five score?
with the website.
That okay, well the website, we're including the website. I don't think it's fair to rate the game without the website.
I think it's more fair to rate it without the website. I think the website props up this game so heavily, and I'm rating it as a game a 3, and with the website 5.
But I don't think it's fair for us to rate it without the website because we used the website from
That's true.
day one. So like we
That's
didn't
fair.
really experience the game without the website. We're kind of just like
Okay.
assuming.
In my experience, because I use the website, I give this game a 5. I cannot recommend it though. I really
You don't
can't.
think you don't think if somebody's into weird shit they should play this?
It- no, because I also think there's more weird shit games. Like,
Maybe. I think it's worth if you have an afternoon to kill, it's worth playing.
yeah.
Especially if you like dungeon crawlers and roguelites and like shit like that, then it's definitely worth playing because I think it's a good game in those genres. But those are also like you hate the fucking genre too, which I feel
I
like is
do.
not helping.
But well, that's why we have individual scores and don't lump them together. It's like
No, for true, for sure.
it
But I
like
think I think if this game wasn't a roguelite, you would give it a couple extra points.
well, yeah, because if it wasn't a roguelite, half of my problems with it wouldn't exist. I wouldn't have to take forced deaths. I would be able to do everything that I wanted to do in one run. And by everything I want to do, I mean complete every plot objective in one run. Like, I like the steady progression of moving forward. I don't like moving forward all the way to the very end, getting cucked, and then having to do it all over again because of some arbitrary reason. Like, that is
It's
not,
understandable. It's
that is,
understandable.
yeah. Um, it is a light 5, by the way. I'm Anthony Fantanoing this shit. It is 5.1 maybe, but I'm not doing points. Like, that's not happening.
I might go to 6.
Yeah. I mean, and our
I still
scores
think it's
aren't
worth
even that
playing
far
though.
apart.
No, I think I just like roguelites more, which is the only thing that's really fucking separating our
Yeah.
scores.
I will say that when it comes to roguelikes, it does more with the genre, like in the sense of plot development, than others do. I think if you're a roguelike, the standard should be to each run progressing you forward in lore um, automatically.
Yeah.
I think that is something that gets lost sometimes because some focus really hard on gameplay and some focus really hard on other aspects. But if you're playing a game like this, the story should move automatically when you die and actually be a part of it. The fact that your deaths are an integral part of this story um, makes it almost tolerable as a roguelike. Um, that being said, I mean, it's I can't in good conscience recommend it because I would have to recommend this to somebody who likes roguelites, likes weird shit, is patient, is willing to look at a guide, and doesn't mind being confused. Because while I think it's a story that revolves around a lot of really good and heavy topics, topics that I enjoy being about, I can't really say it's a good story. It's an interesting story. It's very it's
I
I
think the
wouldn't go
setting
very.
I think the setting in the world is far more interesting than the story you're partaking in.
Yeah. Um far more interesting. There's also like a problem in scale cuz you're going to a gun to fight God. Sorry, my that entire sentence fucked up. You get a gun to go kill God, but you're confined to a tower, like a dungeon, and this one desolate town. So your sense of scale is all off because you're talking to God, the absolute God, creator of everything, and you only see a very small part of everything. You don't go and see cities in a fucking cutscene. You don't travel to different areas or like have like a vision of anywhere else aside from like in the experiment room where you lost your brother. Like the
Which
sense
that
of
could be
scale is
like,
off.
which I would give that like limitations of the time. It's
Yeah.
like only had so much to work with at the end of the day.
But like if they threw up like a fucking kilobyte GIF of like a city like with a sunrise over it saying we could start a new world instead of like just a light, like that would have done so much more for sense of scale. And if they
Yeah.
like showed the desolate burning world of like what you're okay with now, like just small things. It's like when we played Journey to a Savage Planet and you didn't get to see the fucking like side of the earth because that's all I
Oh
wanted.
yeah.
And
Yeah, the one thing they want to give you at the end and you don't get it.
yeah, and it seems like those are like because they are extremely small and specific things, but it's small and specific things that would have helped tremendously for how I felt personally on the game and its scale. And how intense it's supposed to be to talk to God. Like they make talking to God seem like you know.
Yeah, every other NPC.
Um, So yeah, overall score is a 5, but only with the website because that is the only concept of the game that I have. They go hand in
Yeah.
hand in my
It's a
opinion.
website game at the end of the day.
You know what? If you had a couple hours to kill and you want something that progresses you forward in a natural way, has a better sense of scale, and involves weird shit, play Frog Factions.
Yeah, I mean, true. And you don't really like, you do need a guide for that too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like
I
that's the
did
reason
enjoy
why I
Frog
care.
Fractions more, so
Yeah.
I get where you're coming from.
Um and that's pretty much it on it. It's a weird fucking game, and it has story themes that I like, and it has atmosphere that I like. Very atmospheric game, and it has designs that I like. I like gross shit, but it just is. It's not it. Any closing statements?
I think people should play it. That's my thing. It's worth playing. It's weird, but it's worth playing. It's worth going to the website at least. If you're not gonna play it, go to the website.
And if you beat it without the website, I'll give you a shout out. Shit like that.
I'll give you V-Bucks.
Yeah.
I'll give you Prime drink.
Ready for the next game, dude?
Yeah, I'm ready because I have to acquire it.
uh Drastic shift in tone.
That's fine. We need it. It's not a bad thing.
um my first idea was Elder Scrolls and
Which is a dumb idea. That would have been so dumb.
because I like following themes and I'm like, oh, first person dungeon crawlers that are old and suck, Elder Scrolls. But the real next game is the Platinum Games hit Vanquish.
That okay. Yeah, that's see that'll be a fun game.
It is my safest pick that I have held on for nearly 8 months now.
Wait, you've been waiting to pick this for 8
I have not been
months?
waiting. I have been saying, all right, if I keep trying these games and they keep sucking, I am going to pick Vanquish because it is safe and I haven't heard anything horrible about it. Because here's my way for vetting games. I look at 10 minutes of gameplay and then I avoid all spoilers and I look at one review, one random review. And if it says it's tolerable, then I'm okay with it. And that process has just not worked. So, Vanquish is the new game. I have really mid hopes, dude. I am keeping my hopes as small as possible. Um, I
I've
was
heard
going
it's good, so
to give you a concept of time here. I was going to at one point it was between Wolfenstein and this game, and I picked Wolfenstein.
So this game's always been like the other game, and you always not pick it,
Yeah, and I
which
got
means it's probably been good the whole time.
yeah, which means that I should have picked it all along. So hopefully it's a fucking good game. But it looks sick. Cause I like the idea of it being like a fucking cover based shooter that you don't want to be in cover. It's I don't know. So stay
It should
tuned
be
next month
should
for
be fun.
Vanquished. It'll be more fun than it'll have better movement than this game.
Well, this game's melee, so
Oh yeah, true, true.
just like melee.
And that's the fucking show. Part 1.5 because we
Yeah,
fucked up the whole
only had to do it
recording.
twice.
Uh, and again, side note, dude, like, and this is to the people we know that watch this fucking show. Stop recommending us games and not being in the fucking shit, dude. Like, if you know me and talk to me on a regular basis, stop recommending me games. Because if you say, oh, why aren't you playing this instead of this shitty game? The whole point is to play the shitty game, all right? So you play the shitty game, wait 2 months, and then get to pick your game that you think is cool. And then we'll shit on it and tell you how much you suck.
How it's actually not cool.
Yeah. I'm not playing fucking Kingdom Hearts, and I'm not picking Nightmare Creatures out of spite. I'll play it outside of book club, but like until you guys join the fucking game club, your game's not getting picked. And that's my ending statement.
It's over.